Your eyes open in the dark. Nothing woke you. No noise. No dream you can remember. No reason at all. The room is exactly as you left it. Your head turns to the clock. 3:14. And here is the thing you have never once noticed yourself doing. Before you are properly awake, before you could tell a stranger your own address, you have already run a calculation. Alarm at 6. 2 hours and 46 minutes. Minus however long it takes to get back down. Nobody taught you that. There was no lesson. You have simply never once woken in the night without immediately working out what it is going to cost you tomorrow. You think the waking is the problem. It isn't. It never was. You think a person who sleeps properly does not do this. That 8 unbroken hours is the baseline, the normal setting, the thing you keep failing to hold on to. So you try. You lie very still. You slow your breathing on purpose. You do the exercise where you relax each part of your body in order, and you do it with a kind of grim focus, and somewhere around your knees you check the clock again. 3:41. The unbroken night you are failing to have is younger than the railway. Start with the mechanism, because it is stranger than the history. Sleep is the only thing your body does that you cannot do on purpose. Think about how short that list is. You can hold your breath. You can hold still. You can force food down when you are not hungry. But sleep does not have a switch you are allowed to touch. Your entire authority over it ends at the edge of the bed. You can lie down. You can close your eyes. You can turn the light off. That is the complete list of things you control, and every single process after that point is automatic. And worse, every one of them is suppressed by exactly the state that trying puts you in. Effort requires alertness. Alertness is the thing you are trying to switch off. So the harder you work at it, the further away it goes. Not as a metaphor, as a measurable, predictable, mechanical result. Psychologists have a name for that. Sleep effort. It means the attempt to sleep is itself an activity, and activity is the opposite of what you are attempting. Colin Espie at Glasgow described the pathway in 2006. Attention, intention, effort. You start paying attention to sleep. Then you form an intention about it. Then you apply effort to it. And the three of them together take something automatic and drag it under conscious control, where it cannot function. Espie and Nicola Broomfield had built a scale to measure this the year before, in 2005. Not to measure how badly people slept, to measure how hard they were trying. The people trying hardest were sleeping worst. It is the only appointment in your life that you cannot attend on purpose. You can go to the room. You cannot go to sleep. There is an experiment that makes this almost funny. In 1978, while Asher and J. Efron took people with severe trouble falling asleep and told them the opposite of everything they had been told before. Go to bed, lie there in the dark, and try, deliberately, to stay awake as long as possible. They fell asleep faster. Nothing had changed about their beds, their stress, or their bodies. The only thing removed was the trying. Now look at what you actually do at 3:14 in that light. You check the clock. Adrian Tang, Neil Schmidt, and Allison Harvey ran a study on exactly this in 2007 and found that clock monitoring reliably increased worry and lengthened the time it took people to fall asleep. Checking the time is not neutral information gathering. It is the act that converts an ordinary waking into a deadline. And the deadline is the thing keeping you awake. Not the waking. The arithmetic. So where did the arithmetic come from? Because you did not invent it, and it is not very old. Go back to a bedroom in the 1600s. There is no light in it. Not dim light, none. The fire is banked. A candle costs real money. And when the sun goes down, there is nothing to do that requires seeing. So people went to bed early, around 9, and they were in the dark for 14 hours. Nobody sleeps for 14 hours. The historian Roger A. Kirch spent years in diaries, court depositions, medical texts, and letters, and published what he found in 2001 and then in his book in 2005. He turned up more than 500 references to something modern readers have no word for: first sleep and second sleep. People slept for a few hours, woke around midnight, and stayed awake for an hour or so. They tended the fire. They prayed. They talked to whoever was beside them. A French doctor of the period recommended the interval as the best time to conceive a child because people were rested rather than exhausted. Then they went back down for the second sleep until dawn. Nobody in those pages is anxious about it. There is no vocabulary of failure because there is nothing to fail at. The gap was simply a part of the night, the way an afternoon has a middle. Then the night got shorter. Gas lighting reached the streets of London from 1807. Across the 1800s, artificial light pushed bedtime later and squeezed the dark, and the references to first and second sleep thin out and then stop. By the early 20th century, the phrase means nothing to anyone. The night became one block because the day expanded into it, and the 8 solid hours arrived as a factory-era standard, not a biological one. Here is the part that should have made this a settled story, and didn't. In 1992, Thomas Ware at the National Institute of Mental Health put volunteers in 14 hours of darkness a night, the way a person in 1650 lived. Within weeks, their sleep split cleanly into 2 blocks with a stretch of quiet wakefulness in the middle. And that middle stretch had its own hormonal signature, elevated prolactin, a state the volunteers described as restful and meditative rather than distressing. But be careful, because the honest version matters more than the neat one. When Gandhi Yetish and colleagues measured sleep in the Hadza, the San, and the Tsimane in 2015, 3 societies with no electric light at all, they did not find 2-block sleep. They found single sleeps of about 6.5 hours. So this is not an ancient birthright you have been robbed of. The 2-block night probably belongs to long, dark winters at high latitudes, not to humanity in general. What is genuinely recent is not the waking. It is the belief that the waking is a malfunction. And that belief is not harmless, because it is the entire engine. In 1987, Arthur Spielman laid out a model of insomnia that is still the standard one. Something starts it, a stressful month, a new baby, an illness. But the thing that starts insomnia is almost never the thing that keeps it running. What keeps it running is everything you sensibly began doing in response. Going to bed earlier to catch up, lying there longer, monitoring, calculating, trying. You are not bad at sleeping. You are exceptionally good at trying. That is the problem, and it is a strange kind of good news, because effort is the one variable here you can actually put down. So tomorrow night, turn the clock around, or put it in a drawer. You cannot run the calculation on a number you cannot see. When your eyes open at whatever hour, do not treat it as an event. Nothing has happened. A gap in the night is not a symptom, and it was ordinary for most of recorded history. And if 20 minutes or so go past, and you are clearly awake, get up. Leave the room. This is Richard Butson's stimulus control instruction from 1972, and it exists to stop your bed becoming the place where you lie there trying. If this has been every night for months, that is not a habit. It is insomnia, and it is treatable. Cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia is the first-line treatment for it, ahead of medication, and it is worth asking a doctor for by name. Your eyes open in the dark. The room is exactly as you left it. Nothing has gone wrong, and there is nothing here to solve. You just woke up in the middle of the night, the way people did for 400 years, before anyone thought to start counting what it cost.